This, if you can believe it or not, is week 14 of engineering, and I'm going to take you to the module. Unfortunately, I have to scroll down quite a bit now. Want to take you through what the process is going to be to make your presentation. This way you can kind of move at your own pace, and we will see what we can get done. Now, my video guide is going to be uploaded right here. You'll be able to see it there. I'll explain that at the beginning of class. But we're going to go, you will click on presentation slides if you haven't already, and make a copy of this Google slide presentation. I'm not going to click on that, but I did want you to make you aware of the rubric on how you will be graded. I'm not going to be quite as lenient as I was last time. I'm hoping that we get better and better presentations as the year goes on, because you'll also be making these in the exercise science class. What I'm looking for are things like 4 references. We read 4 references. I'm looking for some nice explanations of the engineering challenge, detailed discussions of the requirements. I'm looking for a lot more information from you than I had before, and a nicer presentation, which is why we have 3 class periods to work on it. I'm not going to click on this because I already made a copy. Now, I changed the title. You do not need to use my title, and in fact, please don't. I would like to see some imagination on your part, some creativity on your part. This is how I changed my title, something that would be interesting. Now, I don't need to include this part anymore. I would say by Mark Eastburn if I'm the one making the presentation. And this is the engineering class. In 2020. Now, what I did not completely delete was this about Slides Go. You can go there to find a more interesting theme. The one that I have is kind of boring, I'll admit. Let me go. Let's see if we have an engineering theme. That's kind of a nice one. Or construction project. That looks kind of interesting. What I would do then, if I like this particular theme, I'll have this as a Google slide. Oh, now they're telling me I need to sign in. You will not have this issue. I will slide in. I will sign in and get this slide. But you should not have this issue if you're getting a slide for the first time. And I will confirm what my job is. Okay, now I should be able to get it. You, again, should not have that issue. I'm going to make a copy of it. May take a few moments. My computer is not as fast as I would have hoped today. And the next thing I need to do is import that presentation into these slides. Otherwise, I would have to start everything all over again, and I really don't want to do that. So I will go to import slides. Whoops, let's get it to load properly first. I probably won't use all of these slides. I will remove them later on. Lots of different designs here. I will import them, and what this does is it tries its best to try to make the proper kind of format. So I'll take this presentation. This is my copy of the hydraulic cranes. I do not want to keep the original theme. That's the boring old white background, black lettering theme that I really don't want to keep. I'll go to all of them, I'll import them, and this will try its best to match the theme. This came out pretty nicely. I like that a lot. And It didn't preserve the thing. That's fine. So this I can delete. And now we are on to the second slide. Now, one thing I want to do is explain what we did. And I can change the format here to make it look a little bit nicer. I probably don't want to have centered justification. I want to put it on the right. I might want to make this a tiny bit smaller, and I'm not going to say what was your challenge. I'm going to change this. Whoops. So something like that, the engineering challenge in class, I'm going to change that. And we have here, I would say something like, with craft sticks, masking tape, syringes, wooden cubes, plastic tubing, and maybe I'll try to make this a little bit bigger so someone might be able to see, although I don't know if I can. Only by pulling this down can I make this bigger. Okay. Each student was presented with craft sticks, masking tape, syringes, wooden cubes with holders in them, plastic tubing, and cable ties. And then maybe I want to make a bullet point. Crane, we'll call it an arm, or crane jib if we remember the word from our reading. Based on air pressure, pneumatics, or water pressure, which is hydraulics. And then jib on a tower that was stable and allowed the crane to function without falling. That is a pretty good description. Again, don't steal my ideas. Use your own words, please. That's plagiarism if you take exactly what I write and make it your own. Something else I want to include on this slide are some images, some pictures. Now, what I can do for that is go to where my video is actually going to be. You will see the video links. And these are two websites where you can find free pictures that have no restrictions on their use, which means if your presentation ever got published on the internet, no one's going to come after you and sue you for your pictures. So if I wanted to do something like craft sticks, I could find a picture. Now, are these exactly the same craft sticks that you used? No, maybe I want to say popsicle sticks instead. Do I have anything that would work? Same exact picture. Now, ooh, there we go. That will work. So I will download that. Or if we wanted to call it maybe a tongue depressor, maybe I could find a different kind of picture. That's the only one I've found. So I will download this. And you don't need to register to get the picture. I also want to find maybe masking tape. Let's see if I can find any. Not any masking tape. No sign of tape here. Which is okay because I do have another. I guess I could use that one potentially. I'll download it just in case. Whoops. The other source I can use for images would be here, freeimages.com. And if I want to say masking tape, maybe I can find it. There's duct tape and masking tape. That's not bad. So I'll download this image. And we also had the syringe. I don't want one with a needle, of course. Although there's a good one. So I could use this. Just to get a couple of images that I want to include in my presentation. So what I will do now is I will insert the images. Maybe I want to do the tape. Actually, I'll do the popsicle stick. If I want to turn it a little bit, I can, so it fits a little bit more nicely. And I want to add the syringe. Maybe put that over here a little bit higher. And then my tape. I'll use this one. Apparently this is how to get rid of bed bugs, which we're not worried about. We just want the tape. Let me move this up a little bit, although I don't want to cover up my text, just to make sure everything fits properly. All right, that looks pretty good for a slide. So by the end of today, we should have at least this slide completed. And now this slide, it didn't format exactly how I might have liked it. So what I could do is change the layout. Let me see what a good example for this one. Again, you don't have to take my word for it. I could say this one possibly. And I will shrink this text down. And actually, I still want to put this up above, because I want to make sure I have room for my hydraulics or pneumatics. And again, this is your presentation. Put your signature on it. Put your own creativity on it. Don't just copy what I have, please. So let me make the text here lighter so that people can see it. I'll raise it up. I want to put a picture of something hydraulic here. I want to put a picture of something, a tower here. And I don't want to ask the question. I kind of want to tell a story here. So I might want to say, in many places. We can see examples of this, actually, of this engineering in many places. I'll make it a little bit smaller so it fits. Maybe I'll pull this down a little. I can't pull that down. So let me give some examples again, and now I'm going to go for images. And hopefully you'll find different images than I do. I'm going to put in here tower, Eiffel Tower, not surprising. But of course you can see there's some nice engineering design here. Lots of triangles as we learned about. So I'll download that. And maybe I want something about hydraulics as well. There's a good example of some hydraulics. There's a nice shock absorber, which would be hydraulic. I'll include some machinery here. This one kind of has an arm that's a little bit more complicated than our arm that we created, but that's fine. And I'll add both of these. If I want to look on free images, I could also see, maybe I'll say pneumatic here, because our crane arm was officially pneumatic. It's a pneumatic drill. It's a pneumatic diagram. There's a pneumatic very similar to our arm, actually. Maybe I want a nice old-fashioned picture of a pneumatic piece of machinery. And I'll have one more picture of a tower. Lots of towers right there. That looks pretty good. And we see, of course, the same designs. We see lots and lots of triangles because we know how strong they are. All right. I will put these into my presentation. My pneumatic device, my heavy machinery, I'll put that first for my hydraulics. That'll go nicely over here. And then I'll also include my second one. Just to make sure everything fits. Maybe I want to center it a little bit. Okay. And then tower construction we have here. My two examples of towers. I have my Eiffel Tower, which I would want with a white background just so the tower's a little bit clearer. Get that centered. And this would fit nicely here. Again, part of this is paying attention to what looks good. And where are the radio towers? There we go. All right. So here is my second or my third slide after the title. These are important things I want to consider. That looks pretty good to me. So I have the engineering challenge slide. I have my pneumatics and hydraulics slide. Here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. I want to cite some sources. This is the last challenge I want to get done for today. If I want to do it in bullet points, that's okay. So I might want to say towers. I'll do hydraulics first. So I would say uses for hydraulics. I wouldn't necessarily have the towers on this page. I could expand this out. And now I want to actually go back to my articles and get some information. Put in your own words, of course. So I'll make this a bullet point, and I have my information from the sources. Now, the first one was, how does a crane work? Maybe I want to say something about cranes are used to do many different tasks, as we can see here. I could say something like many different machines use hydraulics in order to resist, in order to lift heavy objects. Okay, now I would want to cite this source. I would want to say where I got this information from. So I'm going to make a parenthesis here, and I'm going to say this came from my source. How does a crane work? This one does not have an author, and it doesn't have a date. So what I'm going to do is include this information, copy this, put this into my citation, and then ND for no date. That is my first citation. Of course, if I want it to be all the same font, that would be nice. See if I have Poppins in here, just to make it look nice. And I'll make it all the same size. It was 14 characters. There we go. Perfect. The only thing is the color doesn't match, which I can match it right there. All right. I have some information about hydraulic cranes right there. And then I had another piece of information here. Hydraulics and pneumatics, what's the difference? So you might say pneumatics are similar to hydraulics. Looks like this is bold. I'm not sure why my colors are different. Pneumatics are similar to hydraulics. Although these systems use compressed air, instead of a liquid, or an incompressible liquid, because according to chemistry, liquids are not compressible. This came from my second source, which was written by Warlifts in 2017. So I want to put that in my citation. Warlifts 2017. All right. There are two important pieces of information from two separate sources, which is great. Would I maybe want to add some more information? Not a bad idea. But if I want to also include some images, again, I could say something like crane, see what I find. Ooh, there's a nice tower crane right there. Make it look visually appealing. Doesn't believe that I'm not a robot. And so I will download this, and then maybe I want to have a pneumatic drill, for example. No luck there. Pneumatic, oh, there we go. So there's a pneumatic pressurized air jackhammer. I could also download that. And I would want to put this then into my, and since I'm mentioning hydraulics and pneumatics, I would want to include both of those words. Again, if you want to pull more information, that would be great, but make sure you have nice complete sentences. Make sure you're citing sources. Now I'm going to enter in the crane. And my pneumatic drill. Again, I look at how this stuff fits in. You kind of develop an eye for what things work well and where. Here's the jackhammer. This one would be nice over on this side where I have a little bit more room to move up. All right, looking good. Keeping it fairly simple, visually appealing. Now, here's the thing. You notice, I want to have my hydraulics and pneumatics. I also want to have something about towers. This is not what I first... this has nothing to do with towers. So what I want to do is I will copy this slide. And where are my slides? Oh, slide. I'll make a duplicate slide. So same exact format. And maybe I want to say towers are built with, actually I would say something like maybe towers need to be very strong. Okay, I would get rid of these, and I'm going to look for different information about my towers. Let me go back to what I have here. I have one thing about cranes. I have another about hydraulics. On my third source, what makes a structure strong? Different shapes and materials can make a structure stronger. Some of these shapes are triangles, arches, and domes. The shape of a structure is important for its strength, so I think we're gathering a common theme here. The principles of design for towers are based on structures and materials. Those are very important. Some materials are very rigid, and some are flexible. Among the strongest structures are triangles, arches, and domes. And where did I get that information from? No author, so I'm going to use this. What makes a structure strong? 2020. Very important to say where you got your information from. Okay. Now I might want to pull out another piece of information here, because we talked about compression and tension. So those are two important principles in the building of a structure. Two important forces or two important forces that act on a tower are compression and tension. And tension. The outwards push. These forces must be balanced for the tower to be stable. Now this information I got from exactly the same source. Yes, you need to cite it again, so that the reader knows where you're getting it from. All right. And then if I wanted to say something else, so if you remember, we had resisting the wind, deflecting the wind. These things needed to be strong, stable. We also needed some flexibility into it. So we could say something like, tall structures need to have the right combination of strength. What did we say? Strength, wind resist, strength, stability, wind resistance, and flexibility. All right. And I have to cite my source again, of course. This came from Sisson and 2015. That's the author's last name. That's the year it was published. Okay. That looks pretty good. The one thing, though, I can't put a picture of a tower down here. It's not going to fit. So what I might want to do is adjust. And if I really wanted to get creative, I remember that the original article mentioned the Burj Khalifa. It mentioned a very tall building in the United Arab Emirates. Maybe I can find it. Ooh, there's a nice graphical representation. I can include that. And I don't know, I could say skyscraper. And do I have anything here that would be Empire State Building? No actual pictures though. That's in San Francisco. There's a whole bunch of different skyscrapers. If we remember that Park Avenue building, no luck there. I can also try free images. This is not giving me Park Avenue in New York City. Ooh, Park Avenue, New York. I could just do Empire State Building. It's still a tall, very tall structure. And that one looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. I'll use this one. All right, so for today, the goal will be to get your sources cited. That's going to be incredibly important. You may now notice that I have 4 different sources that are cited here. That's exactly the goal. And I'm going to insert my pictures. If I need a little more space, I can take it. There's the Burj Khalifa. Maybe I want to move this over a tiny bit more. Maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller. And get my picture of the Empire State Building in here. All right, so the goal for today is to get to this point in your presentation. To have some background information about hydraulics and pneumatics, to have some background information about towers, and to get through what the engineering principle, where the engineering principle can be seen in real life, and then what our challenge was. We'll work on more of this next class, but I think for now that's a pretty good chunk of accomplishment for today. So good work.